What is up, everybody? Pony Lawson here, and we are here at the Inked Magazine studios. Today I'm joined with my friends Adam Dean and Goldy Z. Give yourself a round of applause. Well, I guess go ahead and tell me how you guys got your start. I know you had like a kind of start in architecture, is that right?
That was her.
That was me.
I thought you did. Okay, well tell me about how you got your start.
I've been tattooing for 6 years.
Yeah?
Yeah, turned 6 years in end of November.
Gotcha. What were you doing before that?
I've been drawing my whole life.
Gotcha.
And then I happened to be an architect, but still drawing.
Is that kind of what got you into architecture, was the drawing? It was obviously a passion?
Drawing was first.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
So
the drawing kind of got you into the architecture,
Yeah,
right?
my parents got me into architecture.
And you said it was freelance architecture, yeah?
In New York, yes. I used to do interiors back in Russia.
That's funny. My mom was so upset when I first started tattooing at 14 because she said she wanted me to be an architect. Like, I don't want you to be an architect.
Oh.
Can you please put those on canvas? You know what I mean? She was so upset about it, but obviously she's such a huge supporter now.
Yeah,
But-
my dad was very pushy about me being an architect.
Yeah.
I actually liked it. It
Yeah.
was fun, but it was not as fun as tattooing, obviously.
Nah, what else is more fun than tattooing, really?
Yeah, I don't know. I just had like interest in tattooing, and I always like how people with tattoos look, and I was curious how it works, and always terrifying how it sounded because you know the
it's
coil
edgy.
machines and stuff.
Right.
So we went to this tattoo convention, and like walking around, I was trying to take good pictures, and I don't know, like met a person who liked my work, like body paintings, drawings, and he told me, come on by in the shop. So I blindly went to the shop, and I've been told that I can come every day if I want to, draw designs, and in exchange, like they can show me what to do.
Sure, very cool. Now, I know you're from Russia. Was this all in Russia, right?
No,
This
that
is
was
here in
all
America.
New York.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So how long have you been living in the States?
11 years now.
11 years, gotcha. So this is shortly after you moved to the States, you went to the convention.
Not quite. 5
3
years
Oh, okay.
into.
I gotcha. So you were actually doing architecture back home then in
And
Russia?
here too.
This was all here?
The architecture was both.
It was like freelance. You were doing freelance and
Yeah,
working.
I was working in architecture since I finished my college back in Russia. Then I moved here, and I was doing freelance work here and there, and then I got into tattooing 5 years in since I moved.
Have you noticed, so like I used to love drafting class in school. I loved that stuff a lot. The way that you would like write words and letters and things like that. Do you notice architecture playing a big role in your tattoos at all?
Maybe with the lines. So
Yeah.
like my hand was not super shaky with the lines and
yeah.
stuff.
So you got a pretty good muscle memory for that.
Yeah, they train you for 6 years to do that.
Sure, yeah, no doubt about it. And so what about you then? How did you get your start? I know this is something that kind of fell into your lap, right?
Yeah, I never really drew like portraits and realism. I drew a lot when I was a kid, and I was super into graffiti when I was in high school. And I was like known as the kid that always had like stinky markers and shit in class. Like I'd open up my book and everyone would be like, God damn it, man. But then like I started making beats when I was in high school. So like the whole hip hop culture was like huge to me. It was like everything. But then I kind of stopped drawing when I started making beats, and I did that for like 15 years.
Yeah.
And then I came back to drawing when I was like 30 years old. I've always loved tattoos. I've been getting tattooed like illegally since I was like 16, fake IDs and stuff. But I never drew like a realism portrait, even though I was super into drawing when I was a kid. But then basically when I was 30, I found out that I could draw. So
That's so funny.
Yeah. It was actually, I was waiting in line at the Apple store because my phone was cracked, and they like, they put you at a table to like, somebody will come and talk to you or whatever. And there was an iPad there, and I was just messing with it. I was like, this is incredible. So I was just messing around, and I bought one of those, and then I drew a picture, sort of like similar to how you would do like a tattoo portrait with like, I made like a little stencil, and I just did with like the pencil.
Sweet.
on
You
the
bought
iPad.
the iPad specifically because you started playing with it at the store?
Yeah, well, it took like 20 minutes, and I was like deep into this. I was like, yeah, I want one of these.
It's an expensive repair.
Yeah, it
You
was.
can walk away with an iPad.
Yeah.
Was that the iPad Pro at the time?
Yeah, it was like when the pencil first came out.
What a game changer that was, right? Like, holy cow.
Yeah.
Before that, I mean, obviously, we'd spend so much time wasting so much time redrawing things if something wasn't right, or even hand tracing over on top of our stencils. Like, if you didn't quite get the line traced right, you'd either have to restart or just remember that when you actually went and did the tattoo.
Yeah,
right?
or if you misplaced the stencil, you gotta trace
It's
the whole thing over
right,
again.
especially when you traced on top of the photo. Yeah,
Yeah.
because you only had like one, maybe two shots at most. 3 if you're lucky.
So I was like designing shirts at the time with like GIMP. Do you know GIMP? Like it's like an open source software. It's a photo editor. Like
Okay, gotcha,
like
gotcha.
it's like fake Photoshop.
Free Photoshop.
Yeah.
Right. I think I know
much.
what you're talking about.
And I was like, oh, this would be so much easier just with the pencil. So I bought it for that, and I never ended up doing any more shirts after that. I just so as soon as I drew that picture, I bought like a machine and some practice skins, and I just started from there.
And how long ago was that?
Probably like 5 years ago now.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy to see how much you've learned in such a small amount of time. And how long have you been tattooing for?
6.
6 years. That's insane. What a trip.
Yeah, so I did like a year of practice skins, and then I was just like posting them, and then she was one of my favorite artists, and she messaged me. I think I commented on something that she did one time, and she like messaged me. She was like, "Hey, I really like your work. Do you want to come? Do you want to meet?" And so
And now look at you.
yeah,
Crazy.
yeah. So her studio was like 3 blocks from where I was working. I was a software engineer, or data engineer, more specifically. And so I went on my lunch break, and she was like, "Yeah, do you want to apprentice here?" And I quit my job like 2 weeks later, I think.
No doubt.
Yeah.
I
and
never
it was, like,
used
a
the
good
word
job.
apprentice though,
Yeah?
because I never called myself apprentice. I never wanted apprentice. I didn't know if I can teach anybody anything. Basically what I said, I was like, well, if you still learning, if you like want me to tell you anything, like I just like come on by and like I'll show you what I know.
Yeah.
That's
Sweet.
it.
Yeah,
Very
she didn't
cool.
like beat me or anything. I didn't have like a typical.
He didn't have to like mop the
Wash
floors
around
or
tubes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So with this 5 years that you've been tattooing, does that include the year of drawing on fake skin as well?
Yeah, so it's about to be 4 years on skin.
Crazy. I also
In
know you tattoo
April.
yourself a lot as well.
Yes.
Right? Do you find that that's, you pick up a lot more, you learn a lot more from tattooing yourself rather than other people?
Yeah, I think that was huge because, one, I mean, you just get the feel for everything, but it's also not really easy, especially if you're doing like realism and portraits. Like I have like huge shit on my legs. That's like really stupid things to like start doing, like
Yeah.
projects, especially in the beginning when you have no idea how long anything's gonna take. But it hurts like your back and your, like everything. Your hips hurt. So you have to do it in small chunks. So I think that's really helpful because I've healed my own tattoos like a million times because I would do like little piece by piece, and
For
I think
sure.
that's huge.
Yeah, absolutely. So you know exactly how your tattoos are
Yeah,
healing.
every step
Right,
of the way too. So like whatever, like if you peel off the Sanoderm and then it's fucked from there, or sometimes you take it off, it looks good, and then in a week and a half it looks like shit. So these are all like things to like, I don't know, I think it's super helpful
Yeah, absolutely.
in learning.
I'm gonna have to start doing that. I mean, I've tattooed myself a handful, obviously, but nothing like what you've got on your legs. You've got some really good art pieces on your
Thanks.
legs, which is very impressive to see. Is that something you've ever done to yourself?
To myself?
Yeah.
Not myself, not anybody else ever done to me.
Yeah, she has no tattoos.
Oh, right. That's so nuts to me. So like, I don't know. That's always been fascinating when excellent tattooers don't have any tattoos because technically you really don't know what that healing process is like unless you see it from somebody else's perspective. Like if he's got a tattoo and then you check it out every day, but you really don't know what that feels
Which
like at all.
which I do.
Yeah, when she tattoos me, she's like inspecting all the time.
Every time I see this tattoo every day.
Yeah, no doubt. What a trip. So are you curious, or do you think you're gonna end up getting a tattoo?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm not set on anything, so it's a possibility, but I think I need this feeling like, yeah, that's what I need right now.
Sure.
I don't have it yet, so.
Yeah, I mean the first one's always the hardest. That's what we tell people,
yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah, the floodgates open after that.
oh,
I mean, yeah.
With a big Elmo on your neck or something. Do you have like any favorite artist, or like who do you think you'd go to get something?
I have no idea.
Not a clue.
Because I don't know if I would like something realistic or more graphic or like
Sure. Neo-traditional
ornamental
used
or I don't know.
Yeah, gotcha. Is there any, do you have a favorite style? Obviously you do
Well,
realism,
realism,
well, I mean,
yeah.
because like I do realism as well, but that's not necessarily my favorite style. Like my favorite style would be neo-traditional. I love and appreciate the nice heavy line work and the shades and everything that goes into it, the pre-work, everything. So that's my favorite style. I would love to do it, but it just takes a lot of
Every
practice and
time
work.
I see something cool that I like, it doesn't have to be like a specific style, like, oh, this is really cool,
Sure.
this is really cool. And like, I don't know, sometimes I like how things look on the body, like more graphic. Or sometimes I appreciate like the work itself, like I don't know, like how real it looks or something like that. It's different.
Sure.
So it needs to be something either in between or neither or either or.
Yeah. Very curious. Do you have a favorite artist that you have in mind? Like somebody that you like? Who's the person that you look up to the most in this craft?
That's
Not you.
hard.
You.
Me?
Yeah, you.
Oh, that's hard, man.
Or even,
There's a lot. I mean, I love.
maybe not your favorite, but just like maybe one or two of that kind of just pop up in your brain.
I mean, I love Anol's work. I love
And Berkasov, is that how you pronounce his name?
Berserk,
Ask her.
Berserk.
Gotcha, okay.
Ralph Nonweiler.
Yeah.
Crazy detail.
So you like all these
texture.
artists that are very far away that aren't easy to get to.
Yeah.
Right? Because Anel's he lives in where?
He's in Belgium.
Belgium, okay. And I know Ralph Nonweiler is in Germany.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fucking, what's his name? The guy in Texas.
David Vega?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah,
David Vega is, I look up David Vega a lot. I would love to get a tattoo from him.
Absolutely. So your favorite style would probably fall into realism as well, you think?
I mean, right now, yeah. I like all kinds of shit, though. I love illustrative tattoos. I have a ton of American traditional. I have a ton of neo-traditional. So I don't know. I go through phases where I just get one thing and then I move on. I don't know.
Gotcha. How long have you had these tattoos for?
I got my first tattoo when I was 16. I would say most of these are from between like 2015 to 2017 or so.
Gotcha. Now, when you were getting those tattoos, obviously you weren't tattooing. Did that kind of spark any interest?
I always thought it was like the coolest job you could have, being a tattoo artist.
But when you're getting tattooed, you were thinking to yourself, like, I could never do this, or?
I would always get, yeah, definitely. But I was always so hyped up for tattoo experiences, going to different shops and like having people like who are traveling and just being able to catch them when they're in New York. And I don't know, I
fun,
always
right?
loved
Like,
every part of the process of getting a tattoo.
Yeah, the whole everything, all encompassing. That you wouldn't trade it for the world. Like, I don't know.
It's just like a peek into a world that's like was so different than mine as like a data engineer, 9 to 5 corporate.
And that's what you were doing beforehand, right? As a data engineer.
Yeah.
What a trip. I mean, I guess that just goes to show you that you can really like change your life, and it doesn't matter how old you are, or like what you're doing. You can change it at any time, right?
Yeah, you just have to be stupid and risky.
Leap of
go
faith,
for
you know?
it.
Yeah, right.
I have a story for you.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So when I still was in college, I was maybe like 20 or something. So I went to the friend's dad's house because he was a tattoo artist.
Yeah.
So it was a small apartment in the middle of nowhere in Russia. And the guy looked like what you would imagine tattoo artists look like.
In small town Russia.
In small town Russia, yeah.
I imagine it's pretty frightening, right?
Yeah, like like all black, the
Wife beater?
not wife beater, no.
Right.
The leather vest. Sorry. The beard, like all that, like very old, like greenish, bluish, blowed up tattoos, you know.
yeah.
But he was super nice. He was very nice. I was terrified. I was like, hi. So he was like, come on in, I'll show you around. So we walked into this room, and the room was like teeny tiny. So it was like just enough space for like one bed, on which was like a guy, clearly military guy. He had like a uniform pants.
Sure.
And he was getting tattooed on his chest. It was Che Guevara for some reason. And he was just laying, not moving, but he was crying.
Oh, no way.
And this guy had like obviously the loudest machine, and it was so much blood in there. I don't know what was happening, because back then I had no idea like how it's supposed to be done, so I just remembered this guy with a bloody tattoo on his chest laying there and crying silently.
And you're like, this is what I want to do for the rest
And
of my life.
that was the
me up.
opposite. That's what scared me off for so many years. And he had this, like books where you have to pick like one of those
the
designs
flash
with
books,
like,
right.
the tribal things.
Yeah.
And I looked through the books. I'm like, well, I like the drawings. I don't like the bloody crying people.
That's probably what you should get for your first tattoo, is a sweet tribal tattoo, you know.
Or
They're coming
Che
back
Guevara.
out here. Chicken wire?
Che Guevara.
Right, I thought they called that barbed wire, chicken wire, whatever. That'd be a cool tattoo, I guess. Some chicken wire on your arm, put some little chickadees in
Russia, do you know about Russian prison tattoos?
there. I know of the ignorant style tattoos. Is that kind of the similar?
No, they have like really specific meanings, like different things. I don't. We had a Russian guest artist who was describing it to me, and then we were looking at different ones. But
They
it's
have,
like
like, books of
It's a lot of
that.
symbolism.
Really?
But yeah, it's like really specific things. It means like this means you killed some, whatever. But it's cool. They're
Crazy.
pretty sweet.
We should get some of those for real.
Yeah,
I think that'd be sweet.
down, but I'd never go back to Russia.
I'm trying to remember if I know anything. It was like some kind of hierarchy when you get like rings on your fingers. There was like barbed wire around the rose. It means you've met your 18 years when you were in prison. That's it. That's all my knowledge. I don't know why I know that.
I'll get that one.
You get that one?
So I actually pulled up some of these Russian tattoos, Russian prison tattoos, and this first one I pulled up said that eyes on the stomach denote homosexuality, and the peni makes the nose of the face.
There should be a mouth on the legs.
Yeah, well, I guess where would the mouth be, right?
Yeah.
Well, that'd be pretty low if the eyes are up here on the.
What are the balls?
It's like a.
It's chin, right? It's like a
this is
Peter
the
Griffin.
The
opening.
nostrils.
Oh, now I know where the mouth is.
Oh yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
So anyway, moving on. So I also read that the rose on a man's chest denotes that you just turned 18 in prison. Maybe not exactly that you spent your 18th year in prison, but I guess that's. Do you know if a lot of people end up in prison before they're 18?
I don't know people who've been in prison.
I guess it's Russia. I guess it's probably a lot of
Yeah, I feel like
16, 17-year-olds,
yeah.
14-year-olds in prison, just hard as shit.
Going to prison in Russia is probably pretty arbitrary.
Right.
Depends on who you know.
Yeah, exactly. Bunch of cousins and their little cousins. Just I don't know. On that note, let's talk about something a little bit nicer. You guys did something to do with like a dog charity, right? You started some sort of like you made some sort of tattoos and you donated the money to a certain charity. Is that right?
Yeah. So I did it last year, but last year was just me, and it was 3 days, and I did 3 tattoos per day, so it was exhausting.
Wow.
And I also did them for half price last year, but it wasn't like as much money as I wanted. But this year, we did a slight discount, but it was still almost a full price tattoo. We did 2 per day, and we did it for 3 days. So
Each of you did 2 each?
yeah.
Oh, okay, good deal.
We did have somebody drop out, but yeah, we were able to raise like a good amount of money for them, and it's like a 501c3 nonprofit, and it's a New York foster-based animal rescue.
Good deal.
So yeah, they always have. I don't know if you follow any of them, but they're always like taking like, truckloads of,
If I followed them,
puppies.
I would bring home truckloads of puppies.
Yeah,
so that's the problem.
there's
That's why I
like
can't follow them.
something happens in Tennessee or whatever where they all of a sudden have all these dogs that need homes and stuff, and
Right.
some of them are unhealthy and
Yeah,
stuff.
there
So
was-
it's awesome that they.
There was the Chicago French Bulldog Rescue actually had an issue a while back. I think it may have been a year or 2 ago, where there was a bunch of French Bulldogs on a semi-truck or something like that, to where like they got pulled over and they were hot, and a couple of them died, unfortunately, but they brought them all up from Texas, I think it was. And so there's a bunch of French Bulldogs just up for adoption.
Yeah,
French
that's.
bulldogs smuggling or what?
Yeah, I guess they were doing some, I don't know, something shady.
Yeah, it's weird. There was just, I forgot where it was, but there was a thing where there was just all of a sudden there was like 500 beagle puppies that needed, it was like
Wow.
animal testing that they were doing on them.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, but they were all
That's
rescued.
unfortunate.
Yeah, seriously.
So you guys raised a decent amount of money for them. And what was that charity called?
Social Tees Animal Rescue.
Social Tees Animal Rescue. Right on. And each tattoo probably took you about, 5 hours-ish, right?
No.
No,
It
we
was-
did it so they were like, we had size requirements, so most of them were just like heads like that big. We ended up doing
That
some
would take
with, like,
me at least
necks
5
and
hours.
stuff.
How long do you guys take on those?
Well, I mean,
slow.
when you have somebody coming in.
3-ish hours each.
Gotcha, okay. Yeah, not bad. Still a full day's worth of work, though. And
Oh,
you guys did
yeah.
it for how many days again?
I mean, hers were 3 hours. Mine were probably like 4.5. She was a lot faster.
Gotcha.
We did like Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Good deal. Right on, man. That's very
Yes,
honorable
they
of you guys to
stopped
do
by.
that.
They even brought one of the dogs,
That's-
Yeah,
which
that
was
so cool. A little
deaf
blind
and
dog.
blind.
Had no idea what was going on.
no.
It was just in the bag. Didn't know we were
He
there.
was just a
didn't know-
potato.
Yeah.
What a trip. How old was the dog?
Old. I'm not
Like
sure,
at
but it was
least,
old.
yeah.
Oh,
like,
man.
But
25
it was cool.
dog
They were
years.
super appreciative. They were awesome. They didn't know we were doing it.
No way.
Yeah, I usually don't tell. I just spring it on them.
Crazy. It's like, we've got money for you. We
yeah.
just did this.
Yeah, they messaged us in studio's Instagram. They're like, we were wondering what's happening. We had no idea.
Yeah, because we just had
Crazy.
everybody pay the deposit,
Yeah.
which was the full price of the tattoo. Just
Directly to them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just directly to their donate
Gotcha,
page.
gotcha.
So,
So then they
yeah,
had
it's
to,
a win-win for everybody. And then you get a tattoo that's a tax write-off, which is not not too
Interesting.
common.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You get to help out for a good cause. That's
Yeah.
so rad.
Yeah, it was
Very
cool.
cool of you guys.
It was a fun event.
No doubt. You guys have anything like that else planned in the future? Or is that kind of just a, I know you said you've done that in the past.
Probably once a year because it's really tiring. It's a
Yeah.
lot of work. Slava helped a lot with the booking, and
Yeah, good for you.
there's a lot. And then everybody wants to switch, and
Sure.
it was a lot.
Yeah, if you guys do that in the future, let me
did
know. I'd love
like
to
a-
help out.
Yeah,
if
cool.
you know.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I'd come and do a guest spot or something like that. and
That's
help you out,
very
too.
cool, yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, that's very cool. You guys do that. You know, I love my animals,
Yeah, you
especially little puppies.
We made up like a set of rules for people to participate. So they like in order to participate, like you need to be okay with those.
Sure.
And you know how like when people go through them, yeah, that's fine. You available at all 3 days? Yeah, that's fine. Like arms and legs only? Yeah, that's fine. And
Oh,
then
no.
when we already pretty much booked everybody, they start switching the dates. Like I cannot do this day. Like it was quite a bit of work with
Yeah,
that.
got a little messy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's all
But
learning
good thing they
experience.
donated directly to charity, so
Yeah, I
we
feel
didn't
like
have to deal with that part.
good deal. So obviously you guys are together. How long have you guys been together for?
3 years.
3 years.
Good deal.
About
So
3
and
years.
how long have you worked together?
We've worked together for 4 years.
Yeah.
Been together for 3 years. Lived together for 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Something
Good
like
deal.
that.
So how's that dynamic working together and living together?
I think
You guys
we're
want to
kind
like
of
wring each other's necks sometimes, or
No.
never?
No.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's weird. So we were dating, and then the pandemic hit, and so we weren't thinking of living together or anything like that. We weren't, you
We
know,
pretty much were stuck for the quarantine in like teeny tiny little apartment.
500 square foot apartment.
Yeah. And it went good. We like got along very well in a small tiny space, and then
For
we're like,
2.5 months, 24/7.
Crazy. Whose place was it?
It was mine.
Yeah,
And then you just decided like, oh, I'm gonna hang out over here.
Yeah.
pretty much.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then so we were like, oh, that worked
Then we just
fine.
got bigger place to hang out at.
Yeah, we
Sure.
immediately moved to Brooklyn right after that, as soon as my lease was up. But
Is that where you're staying now? Is in Brooklyn?
Yeah.
Is that the spot that I saw?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a nice place. I love that spot.
I like it
Nice
too.
little drawing area too. You guys got a nice spot. I like
Thanks.
it. Do you get to go back home very often to Russia?
Not that often. Last time we were there, we went together last year in August, I think.
Yeah.
And we got to see Moscow, my hometown, St. Petersburg. St. Petersburg has incredible museum called Hermitage. And they have, I don't even know how many sculptures, rooms. It's just ginormous.
it's
Yeah.
insane.
Is it?
They have 3 million pieces of art.
It's just
They have-
crazy. And it's actual palace where like emperors used to be.
Gotcha,
used
gotcha.
to leave or
It's
whatever.
very cool.
Thousands and thousands of insane marble sculptures. They have Da Vinci's. They have Rembrandts out the ass. They have who else?
Da Vinci's, Rembrandt's, like all of those.
Yeah, I mean they got
All the
everybody.
cool
It's
people.
crazy.
All the dudes.
All the
Yeah.
guys.
And,
It was actually like a lot of like album covers that I recognize. You go into a room, you're like, oh shit, and like tattoo references that are very common or
Yeah,
whatever. I got to see. I did Lao Kun and his son's practice tattoo. It was like the guy with the snake and a bunch of babies and all that. Got to see that. Apparently, it was like a reproduction that was done in the 1700s, but it was really cool to see
Yeah,
that
no doubt about it.
in person.
And we took our chance, like we took a million pictures of different statues. So like the other day I did tattoo of one of I just like did a sketch of one of the very random, like it was like a bust of a Greek sculpt
Gotcha.
like woman.
Yep, I saw that.
And yeah, it's just like something I was sketching, and then I just posted it because I don't know. I just like the sketch. I was like, why not? Maybe someone would like it,
Yeah,
and
they
someone did.
Of course, yeah, no
Hey.
doubt. I bet you could put like almost anything you wanted to out there. I'm sure somebody would grab it.
And it feels really good, like it's like a thing that you actually saw with your eyes, and you just like did something with it. And
Yeah, and you freehanded. You didn't like pull it off Google and like, you know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah,
Like, you
and I
you made
actually
it with your
was
actual hands.
a process of my training, like to like look at something and draw it without stencil.
Yeah, yeah.
Because right now a lot of people just put like tracing on paper first and then do the shading.
Right,
Which is
right.
still cool. It's like
No, of
satisfying
course, but
to.
there's something a little more authentic
Yeah,
about that, right?
but this one is a little more tricky because it's like small, and it's also like you need to see all the like proportions and stuff.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Well, that's where the drafting comes in, right? Like
Yeah.
that has to help somewhat.
And
know?
you did it the exact same size as the sketch.
Oh
too.
yeah,
The tattoo was like,
if it will, well. Yeah.
Yeah, good deal. How big was that? Like,
It was on the girl's like forearm, like here. So probably the face was like
oh
that
wow,
big.
pretty small.
It was pretty. It was not too tiny, I guess, but it was pretty small.
It wasn't that detailed because it was like a half-done sketch, you know, like the face was rendered and then like the back of the.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and she really liked for me to work off of sketch, not the actual reference.
Sure.
So she's like, I like what you did there.
Yeah, good deal. That's awesome of her to do that. Was she the only one that hit you up for that?
Not the only person, but the only one who booked.
No, sure. But some people show interest. Yeah, that's super cool. Do you think you're going to do some more of that here soon?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Some more freehand stuff?
Yes.
Yeah. What do you have in mind?
I don't know. I still have like a giant folder of those sculptures like I need to go through. And, you know, maybe like put some extra details in there.
Sure. Yeah, it's cool. I like the little V shape that one has. It's just something extra. You know what I mean? It's not just a floating head. Like
yeah, it was
Me too.
literally like in a kind of, you know, in the process. Just like, okay, let's do this.
Yeah, dig it. I super dig it. I wanted to ask you guys if there was maybe like a certain tip or a trick that anybody watching could take away, whether that be, I don't know, spraying Bactine before you take a photo, or just this something that might help, like if there's any tattooers watching, something that could help them out, you know, any little thing whatsoever. Is there anything that kind of pops in your mind right away?
I mean, I like to take, before I'm done, I like to take a break. So when I think it's done, I'll take a picture with like a light with polarizing film and a polarizer, just because it highlights the imperfections. And I like to not look at anything for like 10 minutes, just cool out, give your eyes a break, and then look at that picture because it's different than real life, and you can see what's going to bug you about that tattoo.
Absolutely, yeah. It kind of exposes like those hidden shades, right?
Yeah.
When
even
like
things that you
even.
can't see, especially with like your light on it, and you've been tattooing for hours, and you got
for sure.
A&D or whatever you use on there. You can see things a lot of times with the polarizer that you can't see.
Yeah. I mean, I don't do it with the polarizer, but I used to do that with like somebody taught me the trick, like where you can spray water, just plain water on top of the tattoo and kind of magnifies it. So I'll do something similar with cocoa butter or whatever sauce I'm using. I just put a layer of that on there, kind of magnifies it. So, yeah,
I love that.
Sauce, you know? What do you call it?
I don't know. Ointment?
It's the sauce. This is old school.
Tattoo sauce.
What about you? Do you think you have anything that might help somebody out?
That was a good one. Maybe like I usually do white highlights at the end, and they get very, very bloody. And someone recently brought it up that they didn't know that trick, but like when you're done tattooing, with the white gets like very juicy.
Sure,
Juicy.
Juicy.
So just put a layer of like, I don't know, A&D or something on it, and wait for, I don't know, 10 minutes. And when you wipe it off, all the blood is gone. And it's like when you take pictures, it's not bloody highlights.
Sure. Yeah, because that can really kill a photo, and you see that happen a lot.
Yeah.
It's like these people don't want to take the extra 5 minutes just to wait or do whatever to get rid of the blood, right?
So I was tattooing a tattoo artist recently, and she was very surprised, like asking me what I'm doing. And when I said, like, that's to remove the blood from like whites, she was very surprised. She didn't know that.
Good, right on. This something that, speaking of Ralph Nonweiler, he actually told me something recently. I was having a conversation with him, and he said, man, when you're finished with the tattoo, and you dip into your rinse cup, and then you finish with your rinse cup, he made his tattoo solution, his finishing solution like that, and I've never heard of that in my life. Over 20 years,
You blew my mind just now.
Ever heard of anybody dipping into the rinse cup to finish? I've never heard of that in my life, and I was like, mind blown.
Yeah.
Interesting.
You know what I mean? Like, because I guess it just gets rid of all those little extra holidays or whatever. It kind of gives it a nice sheen.
Yeah, I love his blending for that as well. It's the same thing. Even if it's a dark shade, if you give a light little this and that at the end.
I couldn't believe. Like he was telling me like it was a normal thing. You know what I mean? Like everybody does that. Like when you do this, the end of the tattoo.
He does
totally.
Yeah.
I just tell him that. Right. Gotcha.
Yeah, he likes the full thing to be saturated, even near skin tone. Essentially,
his stuff feels so incredible.
Yeah, it's nuts. And then it's like 7 years later, and it still looks insane.
And dark.
Yeah.
So good. I mean, I just saw a couple of your heel tattoos upstairs too, though, that look incredible.
That was a good canvas.
Yeah. It looks like you know how to take care of your stuff. I mean, you put it in right.
It's a very nerve-wracking thing when you like about to see your heel tattoo and you're like.
Oh yeah, especially when you send me one of my heel tattoos and it looks terrible.
I said you one that looked awesome.
No, there was one tattoo that looked good, and another one I was like, oh man, I just need to put that dark back in there. But I also think I had maybe a problem or issue.
It didn't look awful in person.
I think I had a problem with like making things too light at first for a long time, or some of the ink that I was using was just like the way it healed would heal
No,
too light or something.
the tattoo
you know?
was good. It was just light. It was like the shapes and everything.
Yeah,
Like,
but it's
That
too
guy
light.
has
though.
such a cool collection of tattoos.
Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah, and and who'd you do on him? It was
Richard Pryor.
Richard Pryor. So good.
Was it the Richard Pryor guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was very weird spot.
Yeah, did
Yeah.
you see where it was?
It was like the back of his leg or
It
something.
was
like
like in here.
Almost
he
where
was-
the Russian mouth is.
You could almost, yeah, I was just about to say that.
That's hilarious. Yeah, those spots are so awkward too. Like, there's a lot of spots that I won't tattoo, and I don't know if you guys are the same way, but like, I tell people that I don't like to tattoo rib cages because to
Yep.
me that's a pain in the ass. It hurts
Yep.
your body. It's like it doubles
Breathing?
in the size, breathing, everything about
Yeah,
it.
it
is
doubles in
such a
size
pain
too.
in the ass.
Neck is super
Next
stretchy.
another one, right. So I don't, especially when it comes to like portraits. I'm like, I'd rather not. If you can think of somewhere else
Yeah.
to do it, let's do it there.
I try to talk people out of it. Like, I mean, when they want something small, one thing when you go like bigger,
Sure.
it's like harder to fuck up.
Yeah.
And when you do small face, when you do like
Every
a
stroke
tiny
matters.
eyeball, and
Absolutely.
someone like start to like hiccuping or whatever, it's
There's another one of those spots that I hate, though, is like inner thighs, or especially like back there. Like, how do you even get somebody to sit for that? You know, because you know they're not comfortable sitting there for 6 hours.
yeah.
You know?
I got the first part of the tattoo. It was like awkward, kind of, you know.
Yeah. So
like,
he was just sitting like
position.
this.
Oh, he was
Pre-
ass up for the second half.
Yeah, the second half he was just on his stomach and like kind of like a little bit on the side, but it was more comfortable for him.
Yeah.
So
Was it more comfortable for you?
That was
yes,
weird as shit.
Absolutely, it was. Yeah, it was
I
weird.
can't imagine that. It was like he was on his stomach, ass in the air, legs like spread. Yeah.
Crazy. What a trip. But the tattoo turned out.
He was covered
Crazy.
though, so I mean, it is what it is. I guess.
Right. And how big was that one? That was bigger than you normally do?
Yeah, it was great for the weird placement. If it wasn't any smaller, that would be. I would
Yeah.
need to get a little too close. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
No, it was pretty big. Yeah, it was like that. So.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, look good. Excellent work. Of course. We all kind of do a similar style of tattoo, right? They call it like a smaller style realism, black and gray. We kind of all fit that mold, fine line, some would call it. Now I know there's a lot of folks out there who say that only bold will hold, or that like the smaller tattoos won't last, so on and so forth. You've heard it a million times. Someone like myself, I like to prove those people wrong. I mean, how do you feel about that when people like say something like that to you? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, what's that going to look like in 5 years or 2 years or whatever the case may be? Like,
Yeah. How it's gonna look in 20 years? How you gonna look in 20 years? It's a good question.
Right.
Yeah.
Not so good.
So it's like it's a tattoo. It's in your skin. If it's done right, it's gonna be there.
Right.
Like there is a limit, of course, to how much like details you can put in a teeny tiny little thing, but it's still doable to have a tattoo done in a smaller scale that will
Sure.
heal good.
Absolutely.
The only thing, like I always tell my clients, smaller we go, more details can be lost over time, and they will like blur up a little bit. So
Sure.
if you do something very small, don't expect it to be laser sharp like
Crisp
years
forever.
later.
Sure.
It still will look like a picture, it still will look like eyes where the eyes are and all that, but it's not gonna be super sharp.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it's more nuanced than bold will hold and small realism won't. I think it depends hugely on who you're getting tattooed by. There are definitely a ton of tattooers right now that are doing microrealism or whatever you want to call it. That it's going to look like shit for sure.
Sure. And it can go both ways. It could those small ones can blow out and they could fade away. So, like I said, you got to do it right.
Yeah.
And there's also a lot of bold will hold tattooers. I'm not going to name any names or show any tattoos. I have a ton of them on me that look like shit now.
Yeah. Right.
Because they've spread way too far, and putting a ton of ink in is not a solution to anything. Obviously, black is going to last longer than any gray wash, which is huge. So using black ink in the right places and having the right contrast, and what we
The
were
right
saying
contrast.
in here, this is probably not great for.
No, it's all good.
But in this painting book, there's some very rudimentary faces that are just done with large.
Sure, like brush strokes. Yeah.
Brush strokes. You can very much tell it's a face. It's the same thing when you're scaling something down.
Absolutely.
You don't put every single detail or every little mole or whatever, but the main, basically if you squint, that's kind of the main points that you need to get down. The right contrast, the right details, the right amount of details for the size is huge.
For sure. Somebody on that note, somebody once told me a long time ago that you could scale down a face to any size. It could be the size of a penny. Like if you were to have Michael Jackson's face, if it were just two eyes as outlines, a nose and a mouth, you could still tell that that's Michael Jackson,
Yes.
even though
Yeah.
it's a very simple
Right.
outline. You know what I mean? So it's like the more you scale it down, just you lose more of those extra little details, but you don't need them when it's so small.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And it also helps for the longevity.
That's the skill. That's like not just put like something small on the skin, which almost anybody can do. It's like how to put it in so when it heals, it still look like that.
Right,
Like,
right. That's the trick.
Yeah.
And of course, they're all going to kind of, fade up a little bit, especially when it comes to black and white. Like they're all meant to fade a little bit. So, also maybe a lot of folks who are new or just getting into tattooing, they might not know that as well, because even some people who, like I know desaturating photos is pretty popular. There are a lot of folks that go home with a tattoo and it's very red, and they're like, yo, my tattoo's very red. And you're like, that's literally completely normal. You're just so used to seeing, things that are desaturated. So it's just, same thing with the fresh tattoos. They're very dark at first and then they heal up lighter. So some people may freak out. They're like, oh my God, like my tattoo's fading away. But, I think it's just maybe we need to put some more of that out there. Some more like, that's why healed photos are great, so people can see the difference,
I'm trying to get my clients to send me healing photos when it's like halfway through,
Yep.
because sometimes people panic when it's like one little piece like
Sure.
scab off and like the darkness goes away,
Yeah,
and
it
there's
looks
like
so much lighter.
something like so much lighter and they panic.
Absolutely.
And then when everything is healed and like everything is peeled, it's like all even out and it looks fine.
Yeah,
Like,
and I
it's-
also think like tattoos kind of darken up as they heal too. Like when that dead skin kind of raises to the surface, it's going to darken up a little bit, peel off, and then you're seeing the light. So that contrast when you're seeing, that middle ground, I feel like is a bit scary. I do have my clients send photos in 1 week and 2 weeks and again in a month, just for that reason. Because usually that 1 week is going to change a bit, and 2 weeks is going to change even more, and at about that month mark is usually what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
Most of the time, forever. It might be a
Yeah.
little shiny or whatever, but. And that we can tell, if you need to kind of go back into things or darken up things or whatever. But yeah, I mean, those are super important. And obviously, keeping in contact with your clients as well. So they're not just, wondering what they did wrong or shit talking you behind your back or whatever because they're not sure, what happened.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. Like when clients communicate, it's great. Like
Yeah,
when it's
absolutely.
like, if something light up, I always tell people to like, it's okay. It happens.
Right,
like
right.
You don't know if it's like this particular spot on this particular day got particularly hot. And it's
Yeah,
just,
I mean, it could be so many variables too. I mean, you
Yeah.
can never tell if it's like an artist or the person healing it, or and there's so many things that could happen.
Yeah, you
from
can
the time they
never-
walk out of the shop, and you can't pinpoint it to anything.
I usually have clients send me a picture in a month, and then I like to tell them if they need a touch up. And most of the time, they don't think they need a touch up, but I want them to come back in.
For sure.
On a portrait, I love a second pass here and there.
Absolutely. Yep.
Even if it's something like, it looks fine, but you could tell, like, if I, hit this edge of this cheek one more time, in 5 years, it's going to look much better.
Absolutely.
So take advantage of your touch up and let's do it.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
a lot of times you can make something even more smooth. Like you can come in with a lighter wash than you initially were doing.
Yep.
Like I was saying, for like a gradient of a cheek or something like that, and you can make it look smooth as hell.
So smooth,
And
get a nice contrast.
30 minutes, less than an hour in and out, and then you're gonna thank me.
Yeah, I love it so much more than you even did from the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that. Now, of course, everybody's gonna start calling you up, being like, "Yo, I want my second pass." Right?
Come on.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I love doing that too. It's great. Of course, we can't do one every day, but like you said, 30 minutes, an hour. Even make a day of it.
Yeah.
If you wanted to. But yeah, because obviously that's the most important part is how the tattoo looks.
Yeah.
5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now. It's the most important part.
Did you want to show these?
I don't know.
Wait, no. Yeah, let's see what you've got.
This
How
one
old is
a
this one?
4 years.
This is 4 years.
Oh yeah. I remember that
So
one too.
this one, during COVID, pretty much on the couch.
Yeah, this is a couch tattoo.
That's
Couch tattoo.
hilarious.
But we had all those
She was sitting
sanitary
on the
things.
floor.
I was sitting on the floor, everything wrapped in
No
plastic.
gloves.
Yeah, but yeah, but this was 2 passes. So when the first time we did it, like kind of finished it, healed it, and then we
And then
did
at
the
the studio, we did a
yeah, at the studio
Yeah.
did a proper second pass, and this got so smooth.
Yeah.
Like all
yeah,
those
no
things.
doubt. Right. And the otter with the tattoo machine.
Yeah.
So fire. It's so
SK
cute.
Irons machine.
Actually,
Is
I
he an
did
otter?
it for
Yeah.
inked. Yeah,
Yeah, those was franked. I forgot about that.
He was what? I'm sorry.
Inked came in to take an interview, and I didn't know what tattoo to do, who to do it on, and I just asked Adam, who just started like coming to the studio. I'm like, do you want a tattoo? And he's like, okay.
I'll take it.
So
Cool.
I didn't know what to do, but he used to like show this like, you know, like cute Instagram videos of otters because they're making cute sounds, and he was wearing a hat like with a tattoo machine. So I just put design together.
So good. I love it.
It's like 3 different otters too.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's like a Frankenstein.
All right, enough looking at
No
my armpits.
Russian prison tattoos?
Not yet. I'm kind of thinking about it now, though, after we talked about this.
I mean, they are pretty spicy.
I like them.
Some good ones. I want to thank you guys so much for being here with me. I know this is kind of new. This is very new to me as well. Again, I appreciate it so much, and there's nobody that I would rather had be my first guest on this show. So thank you so much. And real quick, where can they find you? Where can they find your work on Instagram? Or
My Instagram is Adam Dean Art.
no underscores, just Adam Dean Art.
No underscores.
No,
Easy peasy.
Yeah.
Goldy_Z.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Easy enough. Make sure you guys head on over to their Instagrams and give them a follow. I'm sure you're going to love what you see. Both of them do absolutely phenomenal work, and I'm very jealous of their skills, to say the least. Once again, thank you guys so much. It's been an absolute blast.
Always a pleasure.
Of course.